Dina Does. I'm Dina, and I know a little bit about a lot, but I want to know more. So join me on this path to self-discovery. Welcome to this episode of Dina Does. Well, we'll be talking about our nervous system and how important it is to regulate the nervous system in the healing process. And today I have an amazing guest who, when I thought about launching this series on the nervous system, she came to my mind. She is a wonderful healer, beautiful person, and also has such a magical voice. So thank you for joining us, Manjit Devgun. Like, I call you Manjit. Your Instagram handle is Manjit app.
Yeah,
because you have an app which we'll get into. But we were just talking for a second before we started recording, and I didn't know your last name because I called you Manjit when we met. Tell me your last name and what it means, because we'll tell the guests, because I just heard it and it's amazing.
Yeah, so my first name Manjit actually means, Devgun is my family name, but my first name Manjit, it's a Punjabi Sikh name, and it means winner of the mind, to win the mind over. And so in Sikh tradition, when you're born and you're in the hospital, you don't get named first of all. You wait till you go to the temple and they open the book, and the first letter that's on the beginning of the verse of the prayer, I got an M, and my parents, thought about it and they called me Manjit, which means winner of the mind. So I didn't know that, doing hypnotherapy and teaching meditation is what I was going to be doing later on in life, because I wanted to be a singer-songwriter my whole life. But yeah, I guess that my purpose kind of unveiled itself, a few years ago. So here we are.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's your first name that has meaning. I thought it was your last, but even better, your first name. So basically you were told what you were going to be at birth.
Yeah.
By the gods.
So. Yeah.
So Manjit and I met in Costa Rica. We were there for New Year's Eve, and you were, and for me, witch is an endearing term. So you were like the head witch in charge for the week we were there.
I love that. Yes, the head witch at the
time. HWIC instead of HBIC.
I love it.
And we did some beautiful rituals with you and ceremonies. And what struck me about you, which I didn't expect, I, of course, had a lot of women's circles and rituals. So I know kind of what I'm going into, but what I didn't expect that was so profound was your singing. And even my husband, who's, Dave, you've met him. He says hello, by the way.
Lovely. Hi, Dave.
He's such a tough guy. He literally was brought to tears by your voice alone. So tell me a little bit about the history. Like you just said, you wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and you are, obviously, but not in the vein that you expected to be.
Yeah, so I grew up singing in the temple. My parents were very religious and spiritual, so I was raised in the UK. But my brother played the tabla, both my brothers played instruments, and my parents too, and we would sit on the stage and actually sing and perform all of these Sikh hymns to the congregation. And so that's what I did as a child. And that's really where I learned about music vibration and the power of sound. And, much like how you have Sanskrit to Hindi, Gurumukhi is what it is to Punjabi, right? So I didn't understand the hymns fully, the translation, but when I would sing them in rehearsal by myself, I would cry. And it was just by singing them, I would feel this vibration. And that's where I first learned literally about the power of sound, and how just singing with intention, I used to just feel the actual lyrics inside of me and the notes. And that's where I really felt that God is within me, and God is within all of us. And it's not the old-fashioned version of God that we might have known, or what religions teach us about, but I knew that there was something connecting me and this music with everyone in the world. And my father always said to me, since I was little, that this is the universal language. And so from that, I was into R&B as a teenager. and then slowly let go singing in the temple. And I moved to the States, and I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. So I started working and recording with all these rappers. I recorded with Jay-Z. I recorded with like Stuart Matthewman, who's Sade's producer. And I was in the studio, but it was, only when I sang in Hindi or Punjabi that people would be like, oh my God, like you have a great English singing voice. But like what they were so intrigued by what I was singing, especially when it was over a cool hip hop beat. But it's that thing of, I always felt my soul more when I was singing something spiritual. And then when I really kind of came to finding my voice and recording in English, it was always like the spiritual songs, with titles like Motherland and Temple of Truth, where I would look at this Western society that I've grown up in, and I was born in England, and see the things that why people are suffering. And so I started singing about that, and then became, it was like selling songs as well. But I knew that I was called to something so much bigger, but I wasn't listening to the call at first, because I was like, no,
It always takes a little while, right?
I want to hit record first, and then finally I heard my voice in the studio. So I lost a couple of notes in my range, because I was trying to push to sing something that was out of my range, because I'm an alto and I was trying to sing a soprano run. And I knew that it was a sign that it's like, no, you need to do this. And I was already teaching meditation then. And then I went full blown into learning many different modalities. I mean, my mother made me go and learn Reiki 25 years ago. And so this was all background stuff that I was like, yeah, this is what I do because I'm Indian, but like, I want to be a singer-songwriter. So, it unfolded. And for the past 8 years, I've been seeing clients. I built an app and been doing many different modalities. And now I'm doing sound baths, as you've experienced. And I'm encouraging people to sing, because it is an incredible way to heal your nervous system and bring you back to the most beautiful, incredible instrument that we know of that we don't use, which is the human body. Because when we're toning, and I was discussing this with a friend of mine who's a singer-songwriter, and I said, we've never really been to proper, I've done different kinds of breath work and that kind of therapy, but I realized that since I was a little girl, if there was something the matter, if I was sad, like my father was very strict, like I was very scared of him. And so I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend, wasn't allowed to have sleepovers. And if
Same.
so if I had a crush on someone, I was heartbroken because I never got chosen, I would write a song about it. I would sing it. And then later on in that process, I would go to the studio and record it. And I realized that it's not only that I'm expressing myself, I'm having to rewrite and rework the song when I want to get a good hook and make it sound like a good song would. But then also what you're doing is when you're training your voice, your diaphragm has to shift down and you have to hold notes. And what you're doing is you're controlling your breath. And I've been doing that since I was little. And I realized this has been my therapy, because I'm expressing myself. I'm belting out how I feel. I have to revivify the emotions when I get into the studio. And then also it's helping me with my lung capacity. And also it's a lot of us are in fight or flight mode, right? And so when you're breathing deep, you're controlling, you have agency over your body, over your breath control, which is practiced in singing naturally. But then when we're upset, or when something, makes us angry or upset, or we're in fear, you don't have so much of the fight or flight that can come on if you're not conditioned in the way that you're breathing. So that's why I'm a huge advocate of breath work and singing for that reason.
Well, what's funny is, I've been on this journey of healing my nervous system. As we know, it's mind, body, spirit. You have to work on all of them. And the biggest thing is a dysregulated nervous system after trauma, or from even, some inherited trauma or anything. If your nervous system is out of whack, that's really everything. It's how you go out into the world and how you deal with anything that comes your way. So in healing my nervous system, I noticed that I've gone through phases. And my first phase was sleep. just
Yes.
sleeping it off as much as I could. People are like, I'm worried about you. You're not getting out of bed. I'm like, I'll be fine. I just need to sleep it off. But then I learned the process of moving it through my body, like giving birth to the emotion, the pain, where I would
Mhm.
kind of dance, put on the music, and just actually,
Yes.
like, even if, I talk about this a lot, even women who haven't actually had a child, we have the gift of birth and, the organs to do so. So we're able to kind of mimic that process. And once you start giving birth, it's not like you can say, just kidding, I'm going to stop now. Like, it has to come out. So I kind of looked at trauma like that, let it move through my body and let it have to come out. And then I went through kind of a phase, which I'm kind of in and out of now, which is kind of just sitting and witnessing all of the emotions, not being it so much, but like, okay, I guess there's anger there. Let me just watch this anger for a bit. But what moved me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have, a deeper conversation with you is I've always been the one in, doing yoga or meditation classes when it was time to, like, a lot of people, even in breath work, they're like,
Mhm.
okay, let's scream it out. And I've always been the person to be like, I never felt confident, or it wasn't even confidence. It's just like I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get the voice out. And when I
Right.
worked with you, it was the first time that I was able to lay there in this sound bath. And when you kind of gave us the nudge to sing, it was the first time it came out. And I
Yeah.
wasn't worried about judgment. So my daughter's the first one who would rip me apart, make fun of it. But I wasn't worried. And you kind of like shifted something in me or made me feel that comfortable to be able to get it out and sing with you. And I am the worst singer. I can't hold a note for anything. So to be with you and holding these beautiful notes and to be comfortable to do that, it really is your gift, because you shifted something way beyond that little class in Costa Rica. And even not understanding what you were singing, it still again made us cry. So I just want to tell you that, and thank you for that gift as well. But have you experienced in healing yourself and also being a teacher those different phases of healing, sleep, movement?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really funny because as much as I'm saying I am so grateful and thankful for the way that I was raised, even though my dad was super strict, at the spirituality and being a singer my whole life and being very devotional in this practice, I started to help people with meditation, with breath work, with sleep. And then all of a sudden, right after kind of 2021, I went through something and I experienced anxiety for the first time in my life. And I was like, what is this? Whereas before, when someone's having a panic attack and they're calling me and I know what to do with them and I know how to bring them back down and I know what homework to give them. I'm really big as a mind coach. I'm really, really big on homework. And all of a sudden, it was like, wow, I had to learn everything myself and do what I have been preaching, all these modalities that I'm trained and certified in, everything I've learned. I was doing it all, and it was good for me to experience that, Dina, because I wasn't sleeping. I had to sit and do my breath work. I had to do it long. I was like, really? Like, I mean, I always meditate anyway in the morning, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't meditate. I was like really going through a hard time, and I didn't want to meditate. And I was like, well, you have to like do what you say to your clients. And I went through that process, and it was 6 months, and it really sucked. It really did. But it was good because I sat and did the work, and I experienced, we all want something quick, right? And a lot of clients come to me because they've been on pills and medication for a long, long time. And now they're realizing that, when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you've been on antidepressant medication for 20 years, and you go to your psychiatrist or your therapist and you say, oh, I'm feeling more anxious than I usually do. Oh, let's up your dose.
Yeah.
So what happens is then after 20 years, when your body is shutting down, and you don't feel any emotions and you're not connected to anyone, it's because you've cut yourself off from your body, right? And so what I'm doing, and what I had to do in that stage also, is just, I wasn't on any medication, but I had to just really connect to my body, and I had to spend extra time looking after myself, and just going through that pain. And I managed to get through it. But that's the part that I think of, when you say that, I had to really put myself through a very strict regimen of putting myself on like non-negotiable breath work.
I mean, it is very disciplined. Healing is a disciplined
It
process.
is.
You
Yeah.
need, I notice when I try to take shortcuts, or perhaps, sometimes I just get lazy and I don't want to do the routines and the rituals that I do. And I notice a big difference. It really, just like anything else, going to the gym,
Yeah.
this is a practice, and it's worth it in the end. So even though sometimes in the middle of it, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to feel this. Let me numb it out with medication or alcohol or
Yes.
anything. It's a
Yes.
vicious cycle that way. And the only way out is through. It's so true.
You're absolutely right, and I get it. I've been there, and I know, especially during that time. And that's why, when clients are trying to get off, I'm not a doctor, I don't ever tell anyone to come off their medication, but naturally people at this age now are realizing, I think also with the rise in documentaries that are on Netflix about medication and the long-term effects, and the real scientific studies now that are showing, what is the efficacy of using antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication long-term? What are the effects on the body, on the thinking, on the mind-body connection, on the relationships? And I'm noticing that it's because as a society, we have been conditioned to pop a pill and take the easy way out.
Absolutely.
We've got these devices, we've got more stimulants than ever before, as far as electronic devices, as well as like entertainment, right? There's so many options. And so I think, first of all, we have to all have a lot of compassion to ourselves, because our nervous system is being fried from our environment, and we have no control over it. It's that thing of, even when you go to dinner and someone takes out their phone, if they do, right? It depends on your social etiquette. Or sometimes, if you're at a dinner and you're not with close friends or whatever, and then another person takes out their phone, and then before you know it, everyone's on their phone, and it's a normal thing. Or people just don't know how to sit anymore and slow their brain waves down. And so what's happening is, we're supposed to be at a regular beta brainwave state, like a low range of beta, which is the highest brainwave state. So me and you were talking right now, Dina, I feel super relaxed, and it's great to see you, and I'm connecting, and I feel safe. If I'm constantly anxious, my heart rate is going to be a little bit faster than it should be. And I'll be in mid-range beta state talking to you now, but I'm completely safe because of all of the surrounding things that are going on, because there's so much stimuli that we've been conditioned to just keep on that fight or flight nervous edge of life, because not used to sitting still and doing nothing and allowing our brain waves to slow down. One of the things that, I always tell my clients, which I love to share, because there's these simple things that you can do that are not just about, breathwork is the first thing, even before meditation.
We're on the same thing. That's exactly what I was about to ask you. What's yours?
That first of all, because when I was teaching people meditation, I would sit and look at them, check how they're breathing. And I'm like, nope, you're not learning meditation. I'm going to teach you how to breathe properly. 85% of my clients do not know how to breathe properly. And so then after that, and then it's always because when they're anxious, they're not sleeping. I had a client yesterday, and he was so great. She was my last client of the day. I taught her how to breathe, and she texted me this morning. She had the best sleep that she's had in so long. And she wasn't sleeping. She came to me because she wasn't sleeping. And so she had some other stuff going on, but it was really because she wasn't breathing, and she'd been through a lot the past couple of years. But what I wanted to add on, that's the most important thing. One of the things that I really want to share is, if anyone's watching or listening and they have, anxiety, see if you can train yourself to go for a walk without your phone or with your phone in your pocket and let your mind wander. Because what happens is when you're walking and you look out into the distance and you're looking side to side, that's what is known as bilateral stimulation. Your mind, your brain is having to slow down because you're looking left to right. You're integrating the left and right brain.
Yeah,
And
it's like EMDR.
exactly.
It's
And
exactly what it is. Mhm.
EMDR actually comes from NLP, which comes from hypnosis from Milton Erickson.
And I
And
used
so,
to tell people all the time, like, I am not the kind of person who can sit and meditate. Now I can get there, but it's for
yeah,
years and years and years until very recently. So I would do exactly what you're doing, call it a walking meditation,
yes,
where I
yes.
just noticed the little bird in the puddle and the
Yeah,
pretty leaves. But you're right. I never thought about the bilateral part of it. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Super important. And then, another thing is to, start with breath work, which is breathing in for 3 and exhaling for 6. But the important thing is not to do this, not to breathe in and be all in your chest, because that's what's causing, your body to be in perpetual fight or flight mode. Put your hands on your lower belly and see if you can keep the top half of your body completely still to begin with. And it's like opening a drawer and putting it back in again. And that area is below your belly button. And when you put your hands on your lower belly, you will feel the navel come away from the spine. And, do that just for 3 minutes. And you might be yawning. Your body's going to be like, hey, what's going on here? We're not used to this. But just practicing that, and that's why I have a free version of this on my app, because I want everyone to breathe properly.
Yeah, a lot of people inhale and they suck in,
Yeah,
whereas like the inhale
no,
needs to be expansion, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like filling
it's
up a glass of
backwards.
water. Yeah, you fill up a glass of water, you have to start from the bottom, and anything that you're putting something into expands, right? Energy.
Mm.
Um, so just try that, because then there's a lot of shame around people that come to me and they're like, I can't meditate and I just feel so embarrassed. I was like, no, it's okay. Like, we've all got different things going on, and be really kind to yourself and just start with 3 minutes of easy breath work, because then at least you'll be able to say, oh my gosh, and you'll feel a difference, that you really do have agency over your breath. And you'll feel so much calmer after just 3 minutes. And if that's all you're doing when you wake up in the morning, have that as a non-negotiable, then you're
That's
good.
it's great. That was my question. I was going to say, someone's having a panic attack. They call you. What's your go-to? But the more and more I learn about breath work, it also your nervous system. If you're breathing it correctly, you're going to gain weight. That's why a lot of people with trauma gain
Yeah.
weight. So even if it's vanity, people
Yeah.
learn how to breathe to regulate your
Yes.
systems, so your
Yeah.
metabolism can learn, and regulate again. So much does go into breath. So your number one the is breath. If someone's
Yeah.
freaking out, breathe. So
Yeah.
walk us through that 3 breaths in, 3. And if you're driving,
Oh,
don't do this. But if you're sitting and watching this, let's do that
yes,
for a
yes,
second.
yes. And this one that I'm going to actually show you is one that you can do whilst you're driving, once you know how to get it. Once you know how to
Okay.
do, it's a safe one. It's just a calming breath. If you're having a panic attack, take 2 inhales in to your belly and a long slide down and exhale. The exhale, the key to alleviating a panic attack is always to exhale much longer, if you can, twice as long as the inhale. And the reason why you want to take 2 inhales in, because when you fill up your belly, you take up that second inhale and you feel the belly really big, because you really want to make sure that that diaphragm extends all the way down. And what happens is, when you're breathing deep in this way, the organs here also move down a little bit when you're breathing properly. And those little alveoli sacs at the end of the lungs, they pop back up again. And when we're in fight or flight, when we're constantly anxious, they collapse. And you'll notice that even when people are sitting like this, what you're doing is you're concaving your body, and the little sacs at the end of your lungs are collapsing inwards. And so even you notice, if you just sit upright and your chest is open, your
I do
heart,
that a lot when I'm nervous. I crunch like fetal position. So
It's natural. It's a form of protection. We've got this old brain, this ancient brain that has to catch up with this technological age that we're in. But just by sitting up, first of all, this energy center here is open. You have an electromagnetic wave, which automatically can shine a little bit brighter, can reach a little bit brighter. You're giving it permission, literally, to shine. And then when you're breathing deep, then your whole rib cage is open here and has room. You're giving yourself permission to really, have a deeper oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange, which is so much healthier for you. You're going to be able to just feel instantly fitter and have more energy just by learning to, deeply breathe. So that is, for me, my number one go-to when it comes to the nervous system, to regulating the body. It's controlling the breath, three in and six out.
How about a morning routine? Do you recommend before you get out of bed to practice this, or is there something that kind of works better in the morning to like get you up and going rather than relax you?
So, I mean, you can do it depends on what you want in the morning. If you want a practice that is going to center and calm you for the day, which is what most people want because they don't want to be anxious, right? And you can't meditate. You breathe in for 3 counts, make the belly big. You can envision golden light coming in the belly. And then you exhale for 6 counts really slowly. And just do that for 3 minutes.
Everyone has their modalities that they resonate with. And if it helps you at the end of the day, I say I've tried everything. I've tried dip my toe in all different practices, religions, modalities, and then I take what works for me and I make it my own routine. And that's kind of my religion. When people, they come in my house, there's like Mary's, there's Buddha. They're like, what are you?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, no, I love that. Me too. I just met someone and she channels Mary Magdalene. I was like, oh, great. This is great. I didn't know much about it. But, I bought a little Mary Magdalene, I could see her right now. I travel with her. So I love that. And I think you'll agree. It's like, the breath, religion, spirituality, it's for everyone. It's like the common core at the root of all the spiritual texts is love. It's love and healing, and it's ascension of yourself and evolution of your character and how you want to show up in your authenticity, and how we can connect to like-minded individuals so that we can grow and flourish. And it's beautiful. And I think that's another reason why I'm so passionate about helping people regulate their nervous system, because when you're in that perpetual fight or flight mode, you don't get to be creative. You don't get to express yourself and explore life.
Yeah.
And you fall into this hamster wheel kind of way of living, which is so sad, where you're just trying to, and I have clients that are super successful and have incredible businesses, but they have panic attacks, or they're in fight or flight, or even just from their way of being, haven't traveled that much because they just don't want to be out of their safety zone.
Yeah.
And feel that once you've got your nervous system and you're, actively finding ways, whatever suits you, to repattern your childhood trauma, or whatever it is that we all have our, glaciers that we have to get through, is then it's about really being free and embracing what your talent is and finding your purpose. Which, even if you have your purpose, it's more about being in the creative mode and really enjoying your life, and not thinking, oh, I can't do that because I'm not used to it, or I'm panicking, or, it's.
Now that's where the magic is when you can get yourself to a place of purpose. And this is a whole nother conversation. I'd love to have you back to talk about it more. But meds, we talked about how it numbs. And again, if you need it temporarily, we're not doctors, we're not telling you to go off it, but
No,
attempt with your doctor to maybe wean yourself off while practicing some of these things, because the unfortunate part about some of those medications is, it chills you out, but it also keeps you so flatlined that you're not dipping into your creativity, which is a passionate, high vibration. And then, sometimes you'll dip low, but that's where a lot of creativity comes from too. So if you have these natural tools of regulating your nervous system and being in your body and everything, that's the way to really move through life and find your passion, your purpose. Because otherwise you're just numbed out. You're either running by being a workaholic, like you said, but you're having panic attacks, or you're just flatlined. We're not feeling anything. So this is so important. I loved all that you brought to this conversation. So beautiful how you're able to channel these different modalities to bring out people's real purpose and passion. And I want to continue the conversation, obviously. Love to have you on again. Tell us real quick about your app, and then I would love if you would just end this with maybe like a 1 to 2 minute mindful meditation or something that could bring us, or even if you want to sing, that could bring us into this place of embodiment. So tell us about the app real quick first.
So the app is a self-hypnosis app. It's called Manjit, which means winner of the mind. And it's got breathwork integrated self-hypnosis sessions. And there's a lot of free sessions on there, guys. And so the essentials, I really want everyone to learn how to breathe properly. So please check that out.
We'll put it all underneath here so you can click right
amazing.
on and bring it right
Yeah.
to you.
So I'll guide you through a little, it's a little visualization you can do just to center your body and in the classic Belli Bori prayer, which is the first verse of the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the prayer that I've been singing my whole life. So should we do that? All right.
Let's do it.
Close your eyes and take a nice deep breath into the belly. And exhale all the way out, letting go of the day so far. And as you drop into your body at the end of that exhale, imagine that you just landed in your favorite place in nature. And in your mind's eye, see what you're seeing. Look at all the beautiful colors around you, created by Mother Nature, by Gaia herself. Allow your heart space to feel the gratitude. And then notice the perfect temperature for you. And perhaps the sun is kissing your skin, or you can feel a cool breeze against your hands or your face or your body. And then on your next inhale, what is the beautiful scent that you can sense in your nasal passages? Perhaps it's the salty ocean air, or maybe the pine trees in the mountains. And then if you were to take a sip of your favorite drink created by nature, what would that be? Vegetable or fruit juice? And imagine taking a sip and feel the liquid as it passes over your vocal cords, your throat, nourishing into your body through your digestive system. And listen to all the sounds that you can hear in your favorite place in nature. And with that calmness that you're experiencing, allow the sound of the vibration from this hymn to go deep, invite it into every single one of the billions of cells in your body. एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पूरक निर्भो निर्वैर काल मूर्ति अजूनी सेबं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सची जुगाद सची है भी सची नानक उसी भी सची। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. You had background singing of my bulldog snoring, but
Oh, I could hear.
That was so
Oh,
beautiful. Thank you so much. The rest of my day is going to be so much better now.
oh, I'm so happy. And I'm so happy to see you, Dina. So lovely to connect with you.
You too. And I hope to have you on again and continue conversations like this because it's so important.
Yeah.
And go download that app because you can start your day like this every day.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming.